So Captain America Brave New World is the latest MCU movie that is trying really hard to capture the love and magic of Winter Soldier, but unfortunately it just isn't as slick, as cool, or as well put together as that movie. Now I really wanted to love Brave New World, and it definitely is watchable, and it is a cool movie in and of itself, but just comparatively to everything else that the MCU has put out lately, I do feel like it feels more like a Disney Plus TV show, and it's just really bizarre. I mean, given all of the feedback that they would have received in the test screenings and the multiple number of reshoots that they did, the fact that this movie isn't as good as it should be, for me, is just a little bit of a shame. I mean, the actors definitely do as good of a job as they can do, but I just feel like the political intrigue of this movie isn't really that compelling. I mean, Marvel Studios is continuing its villain problem because they just lacked so much impact over here. I feel like ultimately this movie just feels inconsequential. Now, every single movie doesn't need to always ladder up to the wider storyline, but even just as a standalone title, it just does not work that well, so we are going to break it all down in this video. So let's start with the positives. I think Harrison Ford did a really good job actually playing Thaddeus Ross. I definitely think this is the best depiction of him so far, as he just felt like so much more of a human character. He definitely felt more emotional. I loved his connection with Sam Wilson, especially right at the beginning where he's kind of being a little bit like Samuel L. Jackson's Nick Fury, kind of encouraging him to set up the Avengers. So I really like that nicer edge to him, but speaking of edge, he definitely did have an edge with him, as he was really stern, he wasn't one to be messed with, and I feel like Harrison Ford just played him in a really cool way, while still having that little grumpiness in him as well. And by comparison, I feel like the leader was absolutely awful. First of all, that design just felt so cheap. If you've watched The Inhumans, which theoretically is also part of the MCU, then I feel like the design of those characters is so much better than Captain America Brave New World, and they didn't have even half as much budget as this movie, so like I said, it feels like a really bad Disney Plus TV show. And I just feel like as a character, he came across as a little bit of a loser instead of somebody who is so clever and somebody to be taken really seriously. I mean, a similar character was just done so much better in Sister Sage on The Boys versus this guy. Now, they could have played with that in terms of this is a really disgruntled guy, he hasn't always been really successful in his life, and now he has just wanted to take his revenge out on everybody, but they didn't even do that with him. And this really came into its own in the post-credit scene, as he just lacked emotion, lacked charisma, and just made that whole scene just seem absolutely bizarre. And speaking of weird designs, I feel like whilst the Red Hulk fight sequences were really cool, and I just wish that there were more of them, from a CGI perspective, there was just something a little bit off with Red Hulk, and there were a couple of sequences with Cap fighting him that you could really tell that they're just on a soundstage in front of a green screen. And I feel like unfortunately that really does take away from the movie-going experience, as things are supposed to look absolutely incredible on the big screen. And people have been saying that, you know, Red Hulk is only on screen for about 7 minutes, and I think that's fine, but if you're going to plaster him on all of the promotional material, I feel like it's a little bit misleading, as if you're going to put him everywhere in terms of Captain America versus the Red Hulk, which you do see, I just feel like you should be a bit more realistic with what audiences can expect. In terms of Captain America himself, I feel like Anthony Mackie does a really good job as Sam Wilson and Captain America in this movie. I love the fact that he's totally over questioning whether or not he should be Captain America, which Falcon and the Winter Soldier really was all about that storyline. This time he's happy to have the mantle, he really believes in himself, and I feel like as an audience member, you really do see him as Captain America, as he has got the idealism that Steve Rogers has, but I feel like he's a lot more realistic and modern, which I feel like that is the angle that Anthony Mackie was trying to explain in all of the promotional material ahead of the movie's release. And I think it's interesting that now the question that he's asking himself is whether or not he should have had the Super Soldier Serum. But given the fact that there's no real side effects of it, I feel like there's no real reason why he shouldn't, especially if he's going to be going hand in hand with these massive super-powered characters. One of the things that I feel like they shot in the reshoots is definitely Bucky's appearance. I absolutely loved that sequence. I love that he was trying to give him a bit of a pep talk, and I love the bromance that we have with Sam Wilson and Bucky. I feel like as a pairing, those two are just so good, and it really does remind you why all of the other Captain America movies were so good, because I feel like Steve Rogers, Sam Wilson, and Bucky were just such a brilliant trio, and it is really nice to see them continue it here. And I feel like Anthony Mackie plays opposite Sebastian Stan so well, and I love the little banter humor that they have as well. And obviously he's going to be a congressman now, so I love the continuation and lead into the Thunderbolts movie, although I do feel like it's a bit weird that Bucky just appeared suddenly, kind of gave him a bit of a pep talk and then didn't really help him. I get that it's not his movie, but that being said, I feel like if Thunderbolts and Captain America Brave New World were maybe one movie that was a lot longer, that could have been absolutely incredible. And they definitely should have chucked in Mark Ruffalo's Eric Banner in here, as pretty much this movie is pretty much a sequel to The Incredible Hulk, so why you don't have the main Incredible Hulk here is just so bizarre. It's as if they're punishing Mark Ruffalo for maybe suggesting that he could be in this movie a couple of years ago. I feel like Giancarlo Esposito's character was pretty wasted in this movie. I mean, what a brilliant actor, and he did definitely own all of the scenes that he was in, but I just feel like he just was wasted, as he could have and should have just played a much bigger part in another movie. And on that point, if they wanted this movie to be compared to Winter Soldier, then they needed to have more twists and turns and really clever plot lines taking place with the wider political intrigue storyline. And really bizarre that they didn't have the Power Broker here, as she was such a cool character in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, especially where they left her at the end of it. I mean, that definitely is the takeaway from both Phases 4 and Phases 5, that there are just so many sprinkles of cool endings in all of their projects that just don't go anywhere. And it was really weird as well how Liv Tyler's Betty Ross had a very small cameo role in this movie. First of all, she should have had a much bigger part, being in a few more scenes to really add more emotion to Thaddeus Ross's storyline. Secondly, it was filmed as if she wasn't even there, because it was just the back of Harrison Ford's head, or maybe this was a stand-in person, maybe she was just filming on a green screen in a completely different location, and she didn't really have much of a part. It was just really strange. Maybe Liv Tyler was just really difficult to get. I absolutely loved Isaiah Bradley's storyline in terms of being the original Captain America, and just because of the color of his skin, he's just treated very differently to Steve Rogers. And how does he come back from all of the trauma, first of all, and then being face to face with the government that just let him down so badly? But then they just completely sidelined this storyline, which was just such a shame, as that storyline could have been absolutely incredible. Similarly, I really liked Joaquin Torres' character. I feel like he doesn't work with Sam Wilson as well as the other characters have done with Sam Wilson in the past. But what I do love is that he's definitely got the Spider-Man excitement in him, and he just can't wait to go on the field, prove himself, and just try to be the next Falcon. On that point, absolutely loved all of the Falcon fights. I love the fact that we've got the Wakandan powers of vibranium in Sam's suit, and even though he is Captain America, I love the fact that he didn't give up his wings, as he's so good as Falcon. I wonder if the next time that we see him, his suit will be upgraded to have some adamantium in there. On that point, it's really great that we've finally got Celestial Island being recognized after the Eternals movie within the MCU, and we're building the world awareness and acknowledgement of adamantium as a property. But what does this mean with the X-Men and the future characters of Wolverine and all of those guys with adamantium and the multiverse? All of that stuff is a little bit complicated and a little bit not straightforward. I wonder what's happening in the other universes. Maybe they have their own versions of Celestials, but because we have the conclusion of the multiverse very fast approaching, I mean, they're going to start filming Secret Wars and Doomsday very soon. What does this ultimately mean? Will the X-Men characters be introduced in this 616 universe? Will they have a bit of a merging taking place, like the Fantastic Four are going to be entering into this space soon? Are we going to see proper X-Men in the 616 universe? It could have been really straightforward if the multiverse wasn't there, but I personally do love the multiverse, and I just feel like they need to use it in a much better way, as every single movie within the multiverse saga should have been 10 out of 10. But one thing that I did like about this movie, about the Thaddeus Ross and Sam Wilson relationship, is that Sam Wilson is now being asked to set up the future Avengers, which is going to be absolutely incredible the next time that we see everyone. So I really wanted to love Captain America Brave New World, and there are definitely some awesome moments in here, but given all of the reshoots and all of the listening that I hope Marvel are doing with what fans want to see, in terms of building their cadence of upcoming movies and TV shows in a way that really ladders up into Secret Wars and Doomsday in a much more sophisticated and slick way, then hopefully they can readjust all of the direction of everything to just be a slam dunk with every single entry that they put up. But as far as Captain America Brave New World is concerned, I just wanted this movie to be so much better than it was, and so for all of those reasons, I'm going to give it a fair 5.5 out of 10. Now I'd love to hear from you. What did you think of this movie? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.